When the verse revealed itself to the Prophet, "Let your wives and the mothers of the believers bring their clothes around them so that they may be known to others," signifies that the hijab is to act as a statement that you are a follower of the Prophet and the religion of Islam. That you stand as a beacon, as a model example of truth, of honesty, of high morals. The hijab is your entry into this sisterhood. By you wearing your hijab, you are saying you are part of this community of people who would love to showcase their religion and what it encompasses. And I would like to think those women equally want to celebrate their religion and say, yes, I wear hijab, but I didn't let that get in the way for my pursuit to be the best version of myself. That I stood strong while all eyes were on me to represent my religion and not hinder me. And because of that, I was able to achieve what I set out rather than see it as a hindrance. Hey guys, right, it's been a while, been about a month, 2 months since the original recording of my video of where I said I'm gonna obviously make a comeback to YouTube. Since then, so much has happened in terms of influences, the whole removal of hijab and all that good stuff, or is it really good stuff? So I didn't want to just post another video until I addressed the topic of obviously a recent YouTuber that many of us know. I don't want to mention her name, but those of you that know, recently took off her hijab, and it came as a shock. It came as very sudden removal of hijab, whereas in the past we've seen the influencers you know, slightly showing more and more hair, and then slowly the hijab going a bit more back until it's completely taken off.
Well, it's a little low. Pick it up a little bit more, a little bit more. There you go. Now throw it away.
I think with this particular influencer, the removal of the hijab was very instant, and it was very kind of abrupt and quick, and I don't think anyone saw it coming. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but that's besides the point. The point is, I guess, that it's, for them, the way that they explained it is that it is a time of change and that they want to explore, I guess, this transition that they're going through, but it saddens me that this is what, I guess, influencers that I've seen through the time that I've been on YouTube have, I guess, changed into a completely different person to what I had originally saw them as. And that's not to say that they're not necessarily a good person anymore or anything like that. I don't want to judge them in that regard at all. But what I mean is, in terms of having influencers that represent what we, I guess, look like. And it was almost a breath of fresh air when there was that movement of, like, you know, we're hijabis, we own our hijab, we're still doing the things that we want to do, we're still able to dream big and achieve those things that we want to achieve despite the fact that we wear hijab. And I think that, more than anything, is the main reason, for me anyway, that I became a little bit disheartened, and I just ended up thinking, well, why is this happening? Why are there massive influencers who are deciding to remove their hijab? Now let's not forget that there are whole other hijabis who are embracing their hijab, and they're embracing the modest clothing movement, and they are re-inspiring us as muhajibat to keep their hijab on and style it differently. And it's inspired me, to be honest, to go back to my old hijab. I mean, I've always kept all the hijabs that I've had in the past. I used to buy them from Tyrac. They were like a square, and you fold them in half and you wear them, and this is actually a large one which I've had to wrap a few times around my neck. I may do a tutorial. I think a lot of you asked on my Instagram post to do that, and I will share that aspect of hijab styling with you as well to help inspire you. But I think it's important for me to talk about the whole removal of hijab and as a transition and as a online, offline, which is what was quoted in this particular YouTuber's video. And so what I want to address here is that there shouldn't be an online, offline life. There should just be your life, and you're either wanting to showcase it to the world, or you show elements of it, but you don't have to show everything. And I think what's happened along that journey is a lot of influencers feel that they have to conform to the appeal of what social media is guising as something that's beautiful, or something that's appealing, or something that's fashionable. And in so doing, you may get more sponsorship deals, or you may be able to represent a brand better because you don't fit into just a Muslim kind of looking face. You fit into an entire, you know, bigger demographic maybe. And so what I found is that through my own journey, you know, I could have been one of those that, I mean, it was very unlikely, because I'm very, very much someone that decided to wear the hijab from the age of 17, let's say. I wore it at the age of 10, but when I embraced it was at the age of 16, 17. And so I wasn't going to be one of those people that removed it. If anything, I would try and find ways to embrace it. And I think what happened along that journey with maybe other influencers, just to give you like context of maybe what's going on, not to say that this is the reason that they're doing it, but more of a context to say, well, actually, it could be that they see this as their full-time job, and if they are going to be, I guess, used in a way to sell more products in order to get more deals and things like that, then they're going to need to appeal to a wider demographic. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason that they've done it. I'm just saying that that could be one of the reasons of feeling that you need to change yourself, to transform yourself into possibly something you're not necessarily. But I find what's important and what we have to remember from this is that hijab isn't necessarily just a piece of cloth that you wrap around your head. It's a modest type of clothing, right? You wear it to keep yourself covered, and as well as make you appear Muslim. At the end of the day, that's also what it is, and that's what was quoted in the Quran, is that so that they may be known. So we use our outer garments to cover ourselves so that we may be known to those around us, right? So, or those that are in our environment. So then they know that person is a Muslim. They cover their hair, they're a Muslim. It's almost like how nuns used to wear, almost like hijab. How I think also back in the day, Jewish ladies used to wear a head covering. So this is a very much a symbolic thing. It's not necessarily just to keep your modesty, that's one of the reasons, but also to stand out as a Muslim. And now if I was to not know some of the YouTubers that took off their hijab, if I was just to see them, I wouldn't even really know that they are Muslim. So that's one aspect of, I guess, for the reason that I embrace my hijab, and still, for me, I find it even more important to try and allow it to fit into my lifestyle without changing my identity, without changing my lifestyle completely. You know, if it means me tweaking my hijab slightly so that it's easier for me to wear, or to allow for modest dress in terms of what I'm wearing, then I want to be able to express that. And I don't think that's something bad. I don't think that those that may view hijab as just, you can't wear makeup when you wear your hijab, you can't do this, like it's too rigid. It's almost like, well, see it as a symbol. See it, I'm wearing my hijab to represent myself as a Muslim. Not necessarily be so strict as, oh, you should wear a hijab like this and you shouldn't wear makeup when you wear a hijab. Try and see it for more than that. And I would like to think that in the future, those influencers that decided to remove their hijab actually come back to wearing their hijab. Like, I'm not going to lose hope and think, well, they're not going to wear it in the future. They may do. They may be going through their own unique journey with the hijab and with the struggle that comes with it. you know, it's tough. Like I understand it, and I went through that journey myself, which is why I stepped back. I could see that social media and content in general online was able to manipulate the way I was thinking and to question my own identity, whether it was through, you know, beauty ideals or in ways that made me really question. When I would see those images, I would find some inspiration from, you know, a lady that is wearing her hijab, you know, maybe slightly showing her hair. I would say, you know, that looks nice, you know, and then I start to disconnect from the fact, well, is that really what hijab is supposed to be? No, it's not. Okay, let's reel that back in. Let's not show hair, let's not show the fringe. And so I found my place in a situation where I can try and change that myself, within myself, like wear my hijab better, wear my hijab differently, which is why I've taken to wearing the hijab the old way that I used to wear it, which actually, the way that it sits, it actually covers more of my hairline, whereas before the share layer would just actually show a lot and expose a lot of my little baby hairs that come to the front. But I want you to know, and I want you to understand that this isn't a movement. This isn't, you know, all these influencers are removing their hijab, you know, this is a trend. It's not a trend. Just because they're taking off their hijab doesn't make it a trend, okay? It may mean that they're doing it and there's a spike in some influencers taking off their hijab, but let's celebrate the ones that have kept their hijabs on. Let's celebrate the ones that are still inspiring us and still showing us how to look, you know, stylish, how to look modest, while keeping our hijab on, because I think there's something to celebrate in that, you know, that you can still achieve what you want to achieve, you can still dream big, and you can still wear your hijab doing that at the same time. I still believe in that, and I'm an advocate for, you know, women that want to express themselves but also stay true to their deen and their religion. So I just wanted to kind of touch base on that. I know it's probably a bit late, like a month later, but I needed to address that before I make future content. And I actually wrote something which I kind of jot down my notes sometimes, and they come to me. When the verse revealed itself to the Prophet, "Let your wives and the mothers of the believers bring their clothes around them so that they may be known to others," signifies that the hijab is to act as a statement that you are a follower of the Prophet and the religion of Islam. That you stand as a beacon, as a model example of truth, of honesty, of high morals. The hijab is your entry into this sisterhood. By you wearing your hijab, you are saying you are part of this community of people who would love to showcase their religion and what it encompasses. And I would like to think those women equally want to celebrate their religion and say, yes, I wear hijab, but I didn't let that get in the way for my pursuit to be the best version of myself. That I stood strong while all eyes were on me to represent my religion and not hinder me. And because of that, I was able to achieve what I set out rather than see it as a hindrance. The moment a social media personality takes on a transaction, they must from that point see themselves as an influencer, regardless of what they say. The moment that they take a transaction, they become an influencer, because that company employing them is paying for exposure to an audience because they have clout. So what that means is, regardless of people saying, I'm not an influencer, I didn't sign up for this, the fact that they've taken in sponsorship deals mean they are in a place of influence. So I think that people are struggling, what people are struggling with most is the trust element of an influencer, and whether they are a person they can put their trust in. I think it stems from the idea and notion that certain YouTubers built their brands based on them being hijabis and breaking the stereotypes of what hijabi is. There was a time where there was influencers who were asked to be featured in an Elle magazine shoot because we had been spotted by Elle as hijabi influencers. So we have been then accepting the title of hijabi influencer. So we can't turn around and say, well, that wasn't my intention, was to be an influencer, a hijabi influencer. You're taking on sponsorships, you're taking on these deals, and that means that's what you represent, you know? You need to own it. It's something that is very, very much a case of me wanting to spread that message that it's okay, don't worry. There may be a few influencers taking off their hijab, but don't see it as something major than that. It is not a trend. And it's no longer about being a hijabi. It's how much do you want to represent your religion and what you want to stand for. Do you want to be an example? Or do you prefer to blend into the background? And there are so many influential hijabis or muhajabat within our current climate that represent being modest, but at the same time they're still doing their passion and their dream, and they're going for it and they're owning it without the need of feeling they need to fit in and that they need to remove their hijab. And so, in conclusion, where do you stand? What do you think is the future of hijab in 10 years time, 20 years time? Do you think hijab will still exist in the same way? Is it going to digress and become more diluted as people tend to want to fit in as opposed to standing out with their hijab and becoming themselves, but just representing themselves in the best way that they can? Because I find that hijab, for me anyway, is a reminder. It's a reminder that I want to stay true to my deen, my religion. I want to represent truth. I want to represent honesty. I want to represent all the traits that the Prophet ﷺ tried to instill within the Muslim Ummah. And so this for me is a constant reminder. My salat is more important maybe than covering my hair, but my covering of my hair is a daily commitment, such as salat as well. And it's almost a reminder when I'm outdoors, whereas salat is something you may do at home. Hijab is something that reminds you when you're outside to try and represent your religion in the best way possible. And yeah, I'd love you guys to tell me what you think. If you want to share and tell me your thoughts, then please leave them in the comments below. I've been meaning to talk about this topic for a while, but I just wanted to make sure that I deliver it in the right way. There were different ways that I wanted to kind of share it with you, but I wanted again to do it a very much uncut video so that it's literally just from the heart, and for me to be able to share with you my thoughts and my feelings. But thank you for all your support in my previous videos. You guys are amazing, and I can't wait, like I said, to come back with even more positivity, more kind of inspiring videos for you guys. And I hope you can find some sort of comfort knowing that even though someone might decide to remove their hijab, it doesn't mean that they will never again wear the hijab. And even if they've decided that hijab isn't for them, it doesn't make them necessarily any less of a Muslim. They're just finding their feet, they're finding their way, and inshallah they will come back, you know, to finding their purpose of wearing hijab once again. And another thing actually I need to touch on is some of the comments, or there was one or two, which say that hijab is an oppressive thing and that we are forced to wear hijab. Let me tell you guys that think that this hijab is not oppressive. I am choosing to wear my hijab. I am choosing who to show my hair to. I'm choosing what I want to expose. In a world where we see so much skin and so much, let's just say, beauty, I'm choosing who I share my beauty with. And that's my power. And for anyone that thinks that this cloth or fabric is oppressive, you're very much mistaken. It's completely the opposite. But sometimes people won't understand that, but I hope that in time and with these kind of conversations, they'll get to see that actually we are empowered because we wear our hijab. We are in control of our path because we're choosing to wear our hijab. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Love for you guys to share your comments below and let me know what you guys think. And I will look to replying to you guys as well, because I love reading your comments. And until next time, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.